Hey everybody, welcome on back. It's Barstool Boxing. I've had the pleasure of sitting down with this guy a couple of times as he's just starting his career. It's Jake Paul. Jake Paul has pivoted. Mike Tyson had come down with not a case of the cowards or anything like that. Mike Tyson got sick, so he had to pull out of a fight. They're going to reschedule it in November. It's been rescheduled for November. And Jake says, I want to stay fresh, so I'm going to keep the date, and I'm going to bring on the next guy. And the next guy is this gentleman named Mike Platinum Perry. So Jake Paul versus Mike Perry. It's going to be Saturday, July 20th, down in Tampa, Florida. Tickets are available right now. And if you can't get down to Tampa, Florida, make sure you watch it on DAZN PPV. How we doing, Jake? How's everything going?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm having a great day. I'm having a great camp. Launched my company W, drinking Celsius, so I couldn't be happier and just excited that we were able to pull an event together to keep the undercard fighters, working and all of that. And I just love fighting. So July 20th is still alive, and I'm excited for that.
I've always said people can argue whether or not you're a good boxer. I don't care. People can't argue that you're good for boxing. And I think the reason that you just said that there are other people that need to get a payday, right, to get in the ring also on top of you, on top of wanting to stay fresh. I mean, it's very, very important that you're doing that. So full undercard, the whole deal. MVB promotion has been shining a light on boxers. Obviously, Amanda is the greatest example as someone who never made $1 million until she met Jake Paul. That's a fucking travesty. How's she doing?
Man, she's doing good. She's still working hard. She's still working towards that Katie Taylor rematch, which will still happen on the undercard for November 15th. And I really appreciate the kind words. And yeah, that's what I've just wanted to do, is always give to the sport of boxing. And I don't even like talking about it. I'm just doing it, and people could see that or not see it. It doesn't matter to me, but that's always been my goal. Is boxing saved my life in so many different ways, and I feel like I owe everything to this sport.
That's enough for kind words from me. Now I'm just going to shit on you for the rest of the interview. You
That's
mentioned
perfect.
I get
Thank
the
you.
one pager on you, and one of the gentlemen sent me something, everything that you're involved with. So you get up here, you just mentioned the new line, you mentioned Celsius. You could essentially NASCAR yourself at this point, right? Just put stickers all over your body. So if you're wondering where American hustle is right now, you got to look towards Jake Paul. This guy finds a way to drag the eye in, whether you love him or you hate him. You fucking know him. And that's my next question that I'm going to talk to you about. Half the people that tune in for every one of your pay-per-view fights are tuning in explicitly to watch this kid get his ass kicked. They're hoping to God that the old Mike Tyson shows up and puts you on the fucking moon. Are you embracing, for at least part, and I'm saying it's about 50-50, are you embracing the villain? Do you love being the villain and telling people, go fuck yourselves, tune in, like that type of stuff? Or do you think you're going to try and put on the white hat at some point?
No, man. I mean, I like being the villain. I like having, the world against me. It motivates me. It fuels me, and I could play that well. And I think the world made me the villain. I've tried in the past when I was younger to show people who I was, to show people the good sides. Like, no, look at me. These people are wrong, and no one gave a fuck. So I was like, all right, you want me to be the bad guy? Fine, I'll be the bad guy. Here we go. And in the sport of boxing, it's gone perfectly, and it's more fun. If someone doesn't have an opinion about you, then you're doing something wrong. And it works to my advantage because, like you said, so many people are tuning in to try to see the demise of me. But I also let that fuel me in training, knowing that there's millions of people out there that want to see me fail. And so I've actually backed myself into this corner where I have to be great. And that has forced me to get better in a shorter amount of time.
I said I was going to shit on you for the rest of the interview. I'm not. I actually had to add one last thing I'm a professional, not a professional, I'm a traditional boxing guy. I cover boxing. I've been with some of the finest fighters in the world. I'm extremely lucky from that standpoint. People give you shit about your record. You have one of the most interesting lineups of fighters. In your 9-1 record, you look down at it, it's a fucking circus, and I love it. And people criticize you for that. But I'm going to tell you right now, with the exception of a few like, Lomachenko, who was fighting for a belt basically right out of the womb. You look at whoever your favorite fighter is. Go right now to Google and you look at the first 10 people that they fought. I guarantee you don't know who the fuck they are, right? Yeah, they're all nobodies until you become somebody. But you're working towards fighting active boxers. And my question is, why? Why bother when you have this entertainment type part of you that is making you buckets of money, and it's entertaining a bunch of people, and it's keeping you as a legitimate celebrity? Why keep pressing yourself to eventually get into a ring, excuse me, with an active cruiserweight or lightweight?
Yeah, no, it's really interesting because a lot of people say fight a pro boxer, fight a pro boxer,
Yeah.
fight a pro boxer. And then the last two fights, I fought pro boxers, and people were like, "No one wants to see this shit." So, and I knocked them both out in the first round, and one was 17-2, the other one was 10-1, Golden Glove champions, all of these things. But the entertainment side of it is fun to me, and I'll always do that. But in multiple spiritual ceremonies that I've gone through and finding my purpose in life, the God told me my sacred responsibility, which was to become world champion. And I believe every human has their sacred responsibility that they have to figure out what that is. It takes work. But God asked of me and showed me, hey, you have all the skills, everything that's needed to become a world champion. I need you to do this for me, for the world, and to influence younger men and women to go and accomplish their dreams no matter what position that they're in, to inspire them, because I believe this will be the greatest sports story in the history of sports, from zero to hero in 5 to 6 years, doing the unfathomable, from Disney Channel to a world championship belt, and arguably the hardest sport, and how relatable it is to other people who never did something their whole lives, to be able to tell someone you can be the best in the world at whatever it is that you're doing in 5 years if you truly believe and dedicate yourself. And it's not like one of the movies or one of the fairy tales where it's like, oh, that could maybe happen. It's like, no, this guy actually did that. And I believe that is my purpose for being put on this earth, is to accomplish that and hopefully inspire a bunch of others to, whether they're 65 years old or they're 5 years old, to chase and pursue their dreams right in that moment.
I was never expecting you to say you were on a mission from God during this interview. It knocks me for a loop, but I love it. Let's talk about professional fighters that you oftentimes call out. And you don't give a shit. You call out the top of the food chain down to about just about anyone who talks smack with you. Is there somebody out there in the professional fighting world right now that you don't want smoke from? Like, who do you think is the baddest man on the planet that Jake Paul is not ready for? Maybe he will be someday. Not saying that. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I bump into some people and I'm like, I would never want to fuck with that guy. Is there somebody out there who you think's the baddest man on the planet?
Yeah, I think there's like some heavyweights. I think Usyk and David Benavidez are probably the only two people that I wouldn't agree to fight. Maybe a Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua, but that's about it. I think, and more specifically, David Benavidez is just lethal,
Monster.
man.
Yeah.
That nonstop pressure coming forward, you can't slow him down, and he just throws bombs, switching stances. I mean, that guy's a menace. That's why he's my favorite fighter. But yeah, I don't think I would match up against those guys.
So you're ducking David Benavidez. I just broke it here on Barstool Boxing. You're afraid of David
Yeah.
Benavidez. That's how I'm going to twist it, just so you know. Just get the
You're
clicks.
afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
No,
to get the
like,
clicks. Yeah.
I mean, hey, this is the thing about me, is I'll tell the truth, and
I know.
people like authenticity. Canelo won't admit it. He's just asking for $200 million. So I could sit here and be like, no, I'm not afraid of anyone. Give me 300 million. Like, we can read between the lines. But all respect to David Benavidez, and yeah, like I'm not afraid to say someone's a fucking monster or better than me.
Let's talk about the guy who's going to be right across the ring from you on July 20th down in Tampa, Florida on DAZN pay-per-view, and it's Mike Platinum Perry. I went to my first bare knuckle fight this past weekend in Florida. I just got back from Jacksonville, weekend before, excuse me. Shout out BYB Extreme. For a bare knuckle event that I was ringside for, me and Paulie Malignaggi, I had to watch it with my mouth closed because I was getting spurted with so much blood. I've been to 2 cockfights and 1 bullfight. That was the most brutal thing I've ever been to, Jake. Everybody who competed in that event was a psychopath. And you're about to compete against one of those psychopaths in Mike Perry. Talk to me about your opponent. Talk to me about what you're doing to prepare for it, particularly how you're preparing for a guy who will fight you without the gloves on if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, these bare knuckle guys are really the kings of violence, and they're gnarly. Like they definitely have something wrong with them. And Mike Perry, like you said, is one of those. And I like a challenge. I want someone who's tough. I want a preparation for Mike Tyson, someone who's really going to challenge me so I can stay active in the build up to Mike Tyson. The thing is that boxing is a science, and it's not all just about violence and coming forward and being a killer. You have to have this art form, this beautiful dance. That's where boxing is different. That's why I love it, because it is very strategic. It's chess. It's not just a backyard alley fight. And that's what makes it a completely different sport. And that's what makes me so confident in this fight. You know, you could take some crazy guy from bare knuckle and put him in there with me, and I can just pick him apart, because this is the science of boxing.
All right, let's talk about something else then, because you talk so fondly about boxing being a science. I'm listening to every word that you say. You talk about the art form to it, and it's not dying, but boxing isn't at the apex that it used to be, and you're actively trying to bring it back, including something that I fucking love. Jake Paul recently partnered with USA Boxing to bring boxing to the forefront of the 2024 Paris Olympics, meaning giving these kids that are fighting for our country, right? Fighting on behalf of our country, I should say. It's not make them out to be soldiers. And you're trying to make them out to be celebrities, which they should be, right? Dedicated their young lives so far to the sport and stuff. What exactly are you going to be doing with these kids without fucking them up too much while you guys are on the streets of Paris?
Yeah, so basically just bringing a spotlight of attention to them, similarly to what I've done with Amanda Serrano, Ashton Silk, Juana, telling their story, which and using my platform to do that, but then also being there for them as mostly like a meditation or mental coach, because I've been in these big moments and can really relate to them. And so I think I've been helpful there. I spent a week with them in Colorado, and just being as helpful as I can across the board. But like you said, bringing more eyeballs to the program, bringing more eyeballs to them in Paris, so that boxing as a whole can grow, and hopefully, some young kid sees the Team USA Boxing, tunes in, and then is inspired to go to a gym. And that's really what it's all about for me.
Yeah, because not a lot of people realize, but I've sat down with guys who have won gold medals in world championships, and I ask them what their greatest achievement is, and they automatically go to the gold medal, right? Particularly some of these guys in Eastern Europe or whatever. It's a huge, sign of respect for their country. We've gotten a little bit away from that, so I'm glad that you're bringing that back. How are the kids reacted to having you out there? Are they treating you as a peer? Are they using you, to kind of do something more, or are they treating it more like a celebrity type thing because you walk that line?
No, yeah, I mean, I feel like we're friends, and we're just like treating each other with that respect of being boxers, and knowing that knowing that I have good advice for dealing with big moments, and sharing with them some of my tactics. I think some of the time they're like, hey, that works for me, that doesn't, whatever it might be. But I think overall they're grateful that I'm there. Today we were even just joking in the group chat about I might just get us a jet over there to pull up in style. And I feel like that, walking in with that confidence, that swag, all of that stuff, it adds value, I think. And so any way I can help and have fun and create memories and dreams, it's a win for all of us.
So again, this is going to be on Saturday, July 20th, down in Tampa, Florida. You can still get tickets, and you can watch this thing on DAZN pay-per-view. It's going to be Jake Paul. I'm going from the Problem Child, which I liked. I'm going over to El Gallo, which is the rooster. I'm changing it to El Gallo Blanco, which is the white rooster, which I think has a little bit of fucking buzz to it. You're going to get to see Amanda Serrano on this undercard as the co-main, excuse me. She's sharpening her instrument versus Stevie Morgan. She's moving up to super lightweight, sharpening her instrument there before she has the Katie Morgan fight. Tony Aguilar versus Corey Marksman, a lightweight bout, also on the card. So it's going to be a full night of boxing. Jake, before you get out of here, and I appreciate your time, get a little bit angry, talk a little bit of shit, and tell me what you're going to do to this fucking guy come July 20th.
Yeah, look, everyone thinks, oh, this kid's a social media this, Disney that, YouTube this, YouTube that. I'm a real killer. I'm a real dog. This is what I do nonstop every single day, whether there's cameras around or not. This shit isn't a game. You don't play the sport of boxing, and everyone thinks that Mike Perry is a killer, all this, go get him, go do this, go do that, knock him out, blah, blah, blah. But just like every single other MMA fighter, I put them down, put them in the dirt, and every single person I've been in the ring with touches the canvas. And that same exact thing is going to happen to Mike Perry. And July 20th, I'm going to win another knockout of the year.
That's Jake Paul. He's the White Rooster El Gallo Blanco, and he's on a mission from God. Make sure you tune in on July 20th. I do appreciate your time, Jake. I hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you, brother.
Be good.
Peace.